Alright, let's look at number 3 now. And for this one, it says a cone has a surface area of 36 pi centimeters squared. So I'm going to write that fact down, 36 pi centimeters squared. And a slant height of 9 centimeters. So we're going to call that L. That's what the formula calls slant height. It uses L for slant height. And the formula that we're going to use for surface area of a cone is this. It's pi r squared plus pi rl. And so essentially we have this equation then. Pi r squared plus pi r9 equals 36 pi, equals the surface area. So we want to solve this. First step is because it's a quadratic equation, which means it has that squared term. We usually solve these by setting the equation equal to 0 and then factoring. So let's go ahead and subtract 36 pi from each side of this equation. That will get 0 on the right, and on the left we'll have pi r squared plus pi r. I'm going to go ahead and write that as 9 pi r minus 36 pi. Alright, now before I try to factor using a more complicated method, let's look for a common factor. And there is one. Each of these terms has pi. So we're going to factor out pi. And now we can factor the rest just looking for two things that multiply together to be negative 36 and add together to be positive 9. And I think that positive 12 and negative 3 will work. 12 plus negative 3 is 9. 12 times negative 3 is negative 36. So that means that I should rewrite 9r as 12r minus 3r. And then we're going to factor by grouping. Common factor here is r. Common factor for this half is negative 3. And that leaves r plus 12. As you're going through these steps, it's a good idea to check your work by, every time you factor, check your work by redistributing. R times r is r squared, r times 12 is 12r, negative 3 times r is negative 3r, and negative 3 times 12 is negative 36. So that means I did it right. I'm going to come back over here for the rest of this. So I've got pi is a common factor. And then for the rest of this, I have that r plus 12 that both halves have in common. And then I have r minus 3. So now we use the zero product property, which means we set each factor equal to 0. And notice that pi we can kind of ignore because pi can't equal 0. Also, we could consider dividing each side of the equation by pi, and then the pi would cancel. So we're not going to worry about the pi. But the other two factors, we do want. You solve those, you get negative 12 and 3. But remember, we're talking about a radius of a cone, and a radius cannot be negative. So we're not going to use that solution, but this one does make sense. And it's in centimeters. So that's our answer. R equals 3 centimeters.